The truth is, sometimes we get comfortable with the ordinary, sitting inside the lines others have drawn for us, when there is an entire blank canvas of a world waiting for us to trust fall into solutions to questions not even asked yet, to rise, revise, and recognize that remarkable is not only possible, but it is necessary. It is the result of daring to imagine beyond this partition of parameters, always onwards, upwards, and forwards, towards the whys of ideas redefined, the what-ifs of partnerships, the how can we improve this. This is more than a common belief that in order to succeed, we must always see details 3 steps ahead. This is not about spotting market trends or hopping on bandwagons, because many others have been there, and quite frankly, so have we. But we are also about people. Shuruq, the right fit in the right place, like perfectly timed happenings matching skills with partners already found, where the sum of parts can create platforms only teamwork lets you reach. No, not you, us, plural, collective, a home field advantage, expertise meeting the opportunity of what we did, are doing, and will do, investing in holding open doors wide enough for impact to walk through. So we continue being the outlier, the deviation, the above and beyond expectation, the ones uncomfortable with being ordinary. Today is the day. Join Shuruq Partners.
Welcome everyone to another episode of your weekly Founders Crushin It, where every Wednesday at 7 p.m. GST, we go live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube and grab a conversation with one of the successful region to learn more about the journey and their industry. If you're watching this through our social media pages or on YouTube, remember to follow, subscribe, and click that bell icon for all our news, events, and updates. This show is brought to you by Shuruq Partners, the leading tech investor in the Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan. And I'm your host, Siddiq Farid, Head of Growth at Shuruq Partners, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. You are. Today, we have the pleasure to host of MENA's first regulated digital real estate platform. His success in working with regulators to become the first regulated digital real estate investment platform is something I urge all founders to learn and study from. He is on a mission to make real estate investments accessible to the masses, and he's flipping the real estate market upside down. Join me in welcoming Siddique Farid, co-founder and CEO of SmartCrowd. But before we start our chat, let us get to know SmartCrowd.
We all dream of climbing the property ladder one day. The problem is, getting on can be a challenge, and saving up for one day can take time. Then there's that thing about doing research and spending countless weeks and months deciding whether you're investing in the right property. It's exhausting and time-consuming. Fortunately for you, there's a better way. There's SmartCrowd. SmartCrowd is the Middle East's first and largest property investment platform that allows you to buy and earn from property shares in a safe and regulated manner. We allow you to co-invest in properties with a group of like-minded people so that you can invest your money across a range of properties, not just one. All investment properties on SmartCrowd generate healthy rental returns, providing you with multiple sources of income, ultimately giving you the fastest way to get on that property ladder without the hassles of traditional property ownership. You can withdraw, spend, or reinvest your earnings to grow your property portfolio, and even decide when to sell your shares to make a higher return. All investment properties are backed by rigorous analysis and latest market insights so that you can make confident property investment decisions at your fingertips. And there's zero paperwork. Just a few taps and you're done. Oh, and did we mention we're over 100 times more affordable than investing on your own? So what are you waiting for? Create your free account and start building your property portfolio today. SmartCrowd is regulated by the Dubai Financial Services Authority.
Love it, love it, love it. Welcome, Siddiq, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. I'm super pumped from your intro, man. You freaking full of energy. I was feeling sick, but I'm pumped. Let's do this.
Let's do this indeed. I don't know if you realized, but I love the music on your video. I was like jumping with the song. It's great. I love it. I love it. So
you should go to our YouTube, watch all the videos. They all have a really good background music to them.
Beautiful. I'll make sure I do that right after. Thank you so much again for joining us today, and for being such a great. And I always like to start off with a story, but before you tell us the story, I remember being one of the few that saw Siddiq Farid at idea stage. Right. So I'm honored to be here.
I still remember our first meeting. Do you remember where we met first time?
So I remember it was in Shira. Was it before? Oh my God. No way. Even before.
Yeah. You were scouting. You were scouting.
I wouldn't remember. Where was it?
GITEX 2017.
Oh,
or 2018.
That's what, around 4 years
2018.
ago.
Yeah,
2018.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. And the scale that you've reached to since then is a job well done.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
A great team support you on this. Well, I would love to know what appealed to you to begin SmartCrowd. What's the story? Why SmartCrowd?
Yeah. So it's a long story and an interesting one. I'll more than happy to share it. So this was very early, right? 2016, 2017. I was looking to invest into real estate. The whole idea came around Brexit time. I had a view Brexit will happen. Prices will come under pressure. It'll be a great time to buy some property into the UK market and just forget about it. It's a long-term investment. But as soon as I started looking into it, I quickly realized, well, hold on, I can't afford one, right? Either without putting large sums of my capital into one asset or leveraging myself up. And both of those elements are quite risky, right? I'm a finance background, CFA charter holder. So money management, allocation, building portfolio, this is what I know. And having concentration risk, which means having a lot of your money tied up in one asset is not sensible. And then also leveraging up, meaning you're introducing further risk into your portfolio, because now you're only exposed to real estate risk, you're exposed to interest rate risk and a whole bunch of other elements to it. And that got me thinking, I'm a decent earner, right? Professional, making a decent living, but yet still I struggle to own assets that give me positive cash flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can invest in your conventional asset classes such as stocks and bonds and so forth, but those are more sort of long-term play, relatively more volatile, but they're not necessarily free cash flow generating assets that provide you a secondary source of income that you can use to reinvest and compound your growth or use that money to subsidize your lifestyle. And that made me realize there's millions of people like myself that are struggling to do that. And when you look at the one of the biggest problems in the world is income inequality all over the world, right? It's asset owners, people with money have a massive unfair advantage for decades now because they've been able to invest, inflate their assets, generate cash flows. And the average laborer or worker who earns and survives on their salary has not been able to get into that spectrum because they just don't have enough money saved up to start buying assets. And that's where the idea came. Like, it'll be amazing if you can fractionalize the asset class, make it accessible to the masses so people can start building their portfolio that provides them with a secondary source of income, positive cash flow that they can use to grow their wealth, create a secondary source subsidizer. More importantly, give them more freedom, right? A lot of us struggle to switch jobs in the jobs that we're not happy with, or we're afraid to take one step back to take 10 steps forward because we're so dependent on that paycheck. But if you start creating the secondary source of income, it provides you that freedom that you can go and pursue your passion. So that's where the idea came. And the idea, the long-term vision is we want to make a dent in this inequality, right? We want everyone to level up, get on the playing level field, right? And we feel alternative assets, real estate is one of the pillars. By unlocking it, we're allowing people to unlock their wealth potential on that journey. So
I
that's how it
love
all
that.
came about.
I love that. What a mission. And I bet you must be so passionate about this for you to actually go through all the regulatory approvals to get this up and running. Tell us about this journey. I mean, there was nothing there.
There was nothing there, right? Took us 2.5 years to get a license, right? To get off the ground. You're absolutely right. Passion was there. I've been in UAE for 7 years now, going on 8. And, almost every day you open the newspaper, you read about people getting scammed, some bad investment scheme and so forth. It's because people don't have access to good opportunities. So they get suckered in. They want to get rich quickly, etc. And there's people with disposable income over here, right? UAE is a great lifestyle, etc. People make money, they save money, but they have no avenues to invest, right? Or assets that they understand and so forth. And it was very frustrating. Like, we want to give people a better option to do so, right? And that's so, our purpose is very keen. And when I first started this back in, the idea came, I wrote my business plan over one weekend. It was like a 50-page document, detailed to the detail, right? Like I gave it to
that's your corporate finance background,
that's my
the Big
corporate
Four
finance
background,
right? But what was also important was, at the same time, I wrote a piece. It's on my LinkedIn even today, written back in 2017, and I did an update of that during COVID, which was our purpose, because it's very important to write down why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I left a pretty decent job. I have a family. I have 2 kids. Leaving that up and venturing on a startup, taking all that risk, it has to be more than just about money, right? Because you cannot measure success with money. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing, and you put it out there. It's not lip service. So that was coined almost 4 years ago now, right? So it's very clear, and that demonstrates the passion, the intent. We have one principle in our organization: work hard and do everything with the right intention. Success will take care of itself. Don't be going chasing success. Your intention makes the biggest difference, right? I believe in karma. You do good, good will come to you. And that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to give people a better way to create wealth. And we are 100% confident that they'll be successful. And because of their success, we will be success. But when we first started, we felt, so this passion was there, like, we can create value, we can demonstrate value. All these stakeholders are going to beg to work with us and make our path easy. So we started off with, there was nothing, right? No regulatory framework. This wasn't even feasible, possible. Lawyers were like, okay, we don't know, but we can try to help you, etc. A lot of work was done by us internally without any external resources. There was also elements of luck. There's certain things that just happen without us putting things in motion, and they just happened to be. It was like stars aligned. Okay, wow, that happened. That's great. But I remember the very first. So after all this, struggle, convincing the regulators, the land department as to why this is important, how we're trying to do this. I remember our very first transaction when it happened, right? I don't know if you ever bought properties in Dubai or not, right? You go to a trustee office, and that's where they issue a title deed once everything transaction is done. And this, I remember, this was the trustee office was the Imar Square in downtown. And I remember going there for the first transaction. They handed me the title deed. I went downstairs in the car. My wife was driving me there, right? I cried like a little baby. right? Literally, I could not hold my tears back. It was tears of joy. It was just like, wow, we did this, right? It was the first ever crowdfunded real estate transaction in the entire region, right? Never been done before. Took a long time, but just that like we made this possible, right?
Yeah.
My wife was like, who is this guy? Like, why did I marry this guy? Right? I was crying like a little
Why
baby.
am I married to him?
Exactly. But that just demonstrates, the passion, what this means to us, etc. And since then, obviously, we've done millions worth of deals since then, and we're alhamdulillah doing millions every month. And we made it possible for many first-time real estate investors. We're allowing people, average person, investing alongside multimillionaires in the same asset, right? Talk about leveling the playing field. That's what SmartCrowd stands for, and what we're doing. Sorry for going on a long rant there.
No, not at all. I mean, that is really what I want to bring up here is that for SmartCrowd to reach to where it is today, it certainly wasn't an overnight success, right? These are years in the making, and specifically for businesses like yourself, where you need to go through hurdles and regulators to actually reach to a place where you can do business legitimately throughout the region, right? And I think it's so important to kind of send that message out. What would be maybe a one or two of the learnings working with regulators that you would like other entrepreneurs to actually get out of today's chat?
Yeah, so building a regulated business is extremely, did I say extremely challenging, right? And it's challenging for many reasons, right? One, regulatory bodies are already busy with other conventional regulated businesses, right? And then taking on an innovative idea where they don't have frameworks, etc., it just moves at a certain pace, right? It's not the pace of a startup world, right? So that's one element that makes it challenging. Second is lack of understanding, right? Majority of the regulators have very little. They're regulators by nature. Some of them have industry experience, some of them don't. They've been groomed up within the regulatory environment and so forth. So some of the logic or practical challenges, etc., are very difficult to get aligned because a lot of things get talked about in theory, right? So you got to bring it down to practical level. Okay, well, theory, yes, but from a risk perspective, how does that translate into day-to-day operational challenges, etc., and so forth? So bridging that gap is also quite challenging because it's education on both part, right? Not to say that regulators don't understand. It's also businesses, especially fintech, young entrepreneurs don't have the regulatory experience and so forth. So you have a lot of learning to do from a regulatory perspective. Try to understand, they're looking from a risk perspective, right? I need to do the hard work to figure out where are the risks, identify them, and then figure out how you're going to mitigate them and so forth and get them comfortable, right? And you have to sort of play this barter. Okay, fine, give me this, I will do this, etc. Get them comfortable and get going, right? So that takes time. That's challenging. And then it's just, we deal with retail clients, right? Average people, we hold client money, client assets, and that increases the level of risk, right? The regulators are very concerned protecting the average person, etc. So more scrutiny and so forth. So that makes it very challenging. In hindsight, for us, it was very difficult to do what we did without being regulated, just because we have three different stakeholders. We have DIFC for the structuring element that we do, DFSA, which is the regulatory in terms of our raising of capital and pooling of capital, and third is Dubai Land Department. So for us not being regulated, dealing with any of those stakeholders would have been extremely difficult, right? So it's very easy for me to say, hey, just go do it, ask for forgiveness rather than for permission. But in our situation, we didn't have that option, right? Because for us to do this unregulated manner, it would have taken us much longer, and it would have been extremely expensive for the end user, right? As an investor, because we would have to pass all that cost down, where the whole thesis of allowing you to invest to make a return would have fallen flat. So
most importantly, should things actually fall apart, you'll probably be sending waves across the ecosystem, hurting it even more, right?
Agreed, 100%. So for us, we didn't have the option of just doing it and asking for forgiveness later. We had to be regulated to do it. especially in a place like this where we have a custodian account where we collect, it's a ring fence account, money comes in for the clients, it's completely ring fence, it's off our books, you have zero exposure to the platform and so forth. That would not have been possible if we were not regulated, right? So we did all the hard work to ensure that our users who are using our platform are completely protected, right? Which meant we had to go through this hurdle, this long process and so forth. So any person, any entrepreneur that is thinking of starting a regulated business, I would really, 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 really spend the time to answer the question, do you need to be regulated, right? Right? If your business model can work or certain variations of it can work to get you going without being regulated, do it and then work your way into the regulation, right? Don't say, oh, regulated, etc. This will give me a license, I can raise money, etc. No, don't. Really challenge yourself. Do I really need to be regulated? Is there a watered down version of what I'm trying to do? Just to test, etc., etc., instead of building all this time, spending all this time and money, getting a license and later finding out, hey, this doesn't work, I need to pivot or I need to make changes and so forth. Get started, do it in a way where you don't necessarily need regulations, you can get around it, find a gray area and so forth. And then once you have something, then you can spend the time and money getting yourself regulated and then really do your homework in terms of which jurisdiction is the right place. Do I need to be regulated here? Which jurisdiction do I need to be regulated? What is my product offering? Where am I doing it? Is it domiciled, etc., and so forth. So there's lots of different intricacies. I'm speaking in very general terms. But you need to talk to the right people to get the right guidance around that, and definitely go talk to people that have gone through it. So for me, it was great because I don't know if any of you guys know Beehive. Beehive was the first lending crowdfunding platform, right? So Peter, their CEO, their CFO, is a great mentor of mine, right? You have no idea how many hours I spent this guy picking his brain, learning from his experience, right? Because in honesty, those are the guys that paved the way for fintech, right? They were the first, they were like in 2015.
They were early. Yeah.
2015, 2014, right? Like way early. We consider ourselves being early, right? When we started, we were literally, I'm not kidding you, DFSA made us sign a letter saying, hey, you're going to be our guinea pig. We're going to test our ITL with you. Are you okay with that, SmartCrowd? We're like, yeah, sure. I guess it's through the door. We'll be, happily be the guinea pig. And we've been first of many for many people, right? But Beehive was even before that, right? I take the credit for being the first one, but man, it's really Peter and Greg over there at Beehive that really paved the way. And having people that have gone through it, speaking with them, spending time with them, picking their brain, learning from their mistakes, etc., is absolutely critical. It's free, and these people more than happy to pass on advice, etc. So take advantage of that, right? Leverage it.
Love it. So we have a few more questions to go. I'm not going to leave you early today, but I want to remind everyone who's watching, if you want Siddiq to answer any of your questions, or if you have questions to Shuruk Partners, please throw your questions into the comment sections below. We'll receive them and we'll try to answer them before the end of this episode. So remember as well, if you're a founder listening to the show, or you're a talent looking at kind of building your own company, feel free to reach us at deals@shuruk.ae. That is deals@shuruk.ae. Send us your decks, get us connected, and we'll certainly look into your startup. And for now, let's go back into our conversation, Siddiq. Now, I'm very interested in understanding what is SmartCrowd's secret sauce. What makes investments with SmartCrowd very different from anywhere else? What makes SmartCrowd compete against anybody else?
It's SmartCrowd's people. It's our values. That's the key differentiator, right? Tech, anyone can replicate tech. We've paved the way for a regulatory license. Other people can come and get a license and start doing what we're doing. But it's really the people behind SmartCrowd, their passion, their drive, their vision, and their values are what differentiates us, right? We put our users, our investors first before ourselves, right? For us, it's not about how quickly we can make money today. It's about how we can make you money so you are a lifetime user of our product, right? And for that reason, and we have statistics to back it, right? We have a substantially high reinvestment rate. 65% of our user base are repeat investor. Average person has 4 investments on our platform. They keep coming back and investing more because they love the product, they love the service that we provide them. And that's what SmartCrowd is. That's what's going to give us success in the long term, right? So that's what really is a key differentiator in what we do. And we treat your money as is my money, right? You should talk to my team, right? Sometimes they get frustrated in terms of how conservative I am when we're looking at vetting the opportunities, how we deal with our asset management element in terms of our strategizing of the kind of products we put onto our platform to maximize the returns is a trend setting. There's lots of things that we have done over the last 24 months with our portfolio that main market brokers, etc., are just starting to play catch up, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples. A lot of talk about holiday homes as being a very attractive asset class, etc., in terms of what's happening in Dubai and so forth. We were doing this 2 years ago, right? Because we saw that coming, right? Because we breathe and live data, right? And data gives you insights that your conventional wisdom might not do so. So we're very ahead of these trends. We took advantages during the COVID time as well too. We figured out strategies in terms of how we can maximize rent in an environment where rents were going down. We were generating above market returns on our properties because we were able to create products that were serving a particular niche market, and we were able to pick up lots of good assets to fulfill those needs and providing those returns to that. So that kind of ingenuity, not just doing the plain vanilla stuff that everybody does, etc., is what really is the key differentiator in what SmartCrowd offers compared to anyone else what they would offer.
I love that.
And I can give you
I
lots
was,
of
I was,
examples and so forth.
yeah. I mean, I was wondering. Probably SmartCrowd has its way of analyzing real estate and its own kind of proprietary equation, right? To spot where the best real estate market. And I bet you guys have something like that. Yeah, go ahead.
So yes, yeah, right. So I'm probably going to be, undersell ourselves over here, but it's not rocket science at the end of the day, right? Yes, there's quantitative factors and there are qualitative factors that you utilize to determine whether a good investment opportunity is there or not, right? Where the proprietary element comes in. So we look at like 100 plus data points, right? We have a model that we built as a scoring matrix and so forth. So the proprietary ingenuity comes in, hey, what are the things that have a bigger impact on the returns in the short term and the long term, right? Understanding the weightage of those different things, right? Because you talk to an average person like, oh, location matters, right? To me, location is number 2, number 3 thing that I'll look at, right? For me, I look at the cash flow. And there's lots of different things that go into looking at what the cash flow is, right? Because we're looking purely from a return perspective, right? We were looking and doing things in areas that, 2 years ago, people were like, you're crazy. Why are you looking at that area? But now you look at that area, it was like, wow, we should have listened to Siddiq 2 years ago and should have bought stuff over there, right? So, and that's because there's lots of other elements that dictated that, not necessarily if you look at the location first thing, you sort of filtering that. So understanding those different nuances, what moves the market in the immediate term, long term, where's the supply, what's the trends coming in the future, etc. And then based on that, tilting your weightage, etc., in terms of your qualifying criteria. And then once you have our system gives it a score, a property, then we do a deep dive saying, okay, we got these numbers. Okay, does it still make sense, etc. Not only that, we get it third party appraised, right? From a international standard RICS certified valuation before any property goes onto our platform, right? So it's not only all our hard work that we do, we get it vetted by a third party. The RICS certified international standards valuation report will be created and put onto our platform, along with all our data that we have done and our report to you, so you can make the decision. We empower you to become a better investor. We want you to become a smarter investor, become part of the smarter crowd, right? Because why that is good for me? You as a smarter investor is a better user of my platform. The smarter you get, the more value you will see in what I offer, right? And the more you will use my platform. Talk to any of our users. We never ever sell real estate to them, right? We never say, hey, invest in real estate, we have this property. Never. We're always telling them the idea of why it is important for you to save, why is it important for you to invest, and why is it important for you to invest in real estate alongside everything else that you're doing. We never say, hey, we are an or, right? Don't invest in stocks, come invest everything in real estate. Never. We say, hey, do that, but also do this because this gives you XYZ benefits. Once they get that, the product itself sells itself. So we never sell. So this is more of a long burn. It's a long-term strategy. That's our focus, and this is what also differentiates us. We're not in sort of superficial, short-term, get as many people, etc., and so forth. So our thinking is very, very different, very long-term focused, because the asset that we're allowing people to invest is also a very long-term asset class, right? Real estate traditionally is a very long-term investment.
True. So this kind of, I would say, dedication towards empowering customers, right, is really, I can feel it, right, in the product. I can feel in the reports that you sent. This empowerment is what actually makes SmartCrowd very different from probably any other platform that would be there or is there, right, or would ever come. And maybe we'll just remind everybody that they can invest today at smartcrowd.ae. So start investing today. Start as how low as someone can invest in SmartCrowd?
500 dirhams.
500 dirhams. That's like $140, around $140.
120 and change.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So everybody can invest today at smartcrowd.ae. That's smartcrowd.ae. Great. So with this shameless plug out of the way, I would love to know, Siddiq, being in the market, what are some of the trends that you're seeing consumers or those investors that come to SmartCrowd are behaving, right? What are some behavioral changes that you see today in today's investment market?
Yeah, so I can talk about overall, and I can talk about behavioral changes on our platform, right? So, retail investor, human psychology, it's very easy for us to invest when things are going well than when things are not going well, right? And if you look at the very smart money, the Warren Buffetts of the world and so forth, they get greedy when all of us are running scared, right? And I think that behavior hasn't changed, and because the market's picked up, you're seeing a lot more activity in the market, not just on our platform, but generally in the public sphere, right? Where a couple of years ago, even before COVID or during COVID, people were very scared to put money to work, not just in real estate, but everywhere in any other asset class as well. So, right, as long as you're doing your homework, you're educated, and you're making long-term decisions, those are the kind of opportunities you should look for and wait for, right? And that's why it's very important to plan your investments accordingly, so you have dry powder, meaning you have liquidity, so you can take advantage of those things. We're seeing, I'll speak specific to Dubai because this is a market that we focus a lot right now. This place is obviously has done remarkably well during the COVID period and then post-COVID period as well too. So that which has attracted a lot of people coming to the city, and the growth that we're experiencing over the last 6 to 9 months, right? And that is translating in increase in consumer confidence in the job market. The overall economy is doing quite well, and that obviously translates into real estate doing really well. So people are willing to put more capital at work. People are taking the risk, and they're seeing the value, right? 2 years ago, I used to say to people that it's very difficult for me to sell Dubai to people living in Dubai than people living outside of Dubai, right? Because everyone living in Dubai, there was a lot of headlines, negativity, around Dubai, supply, demand, real estate, and so forth, etc. Right, and it was easier to sell Dubai because Dubai is a really good brand externally. That has flipped, right? People living in Dubai have realized how good they have it, right? And they're calling this place home for longer. And that mindset is shifting in the sense that this market predominantly dominated by investors, foreign investors that don't live over here, but buying opportunities, buying properties over here because good returns, tax-free money, and so forth. But we're starting to see more and more end users, people buying homes to live in, right? And that's a very good sign of the market because that's a sign of maturity. Mortgage transactions are at record highs, right? That means people are borrowing money because they're confident in their jobs. They're willing to go to the bank, borrow money to buy a home that they want to live in. These are all positive signs, and these are the trends that we're seeing. That's going to have so this recovery that we're seeing, in my opinion, is a very stable one and not a speculative one, because the type of transactions that are taking place, the kinds of properties that are being bought, and that trend, I think, is going to continue. This is nothing to do with Expo. Everyone says, "Oh, this is the Expo." Nothing to do with Expo. This is absolutely nothing to do with Expo at all, in my opinion. There's lots of other structural reforms that the leadership over here has put in around virtual visa, golden visas, visas for retirees, citizenship. All these things are starting to reap some rewards, but the true rewards of these structural reforms we'll only see in a couple of years, right? And if you wait for those rewards to come, right, you would have missed the boat. You want to get in early. So when these things get materialized in a significant way, you will see a massive upside. So these are all these kinds of different nuances, trends that we are seeing, that we're taking advantage and allowing our people to our users to take advantage, right? Because if you have 500 or 10,000 or even 50,000 dirhams to invest in, your options are limited. You can't do much with 50,000. What we do is we allow you to take your 50,000 along with 100 other people, and all of a sudden now collectively it's 5 million dirhams, right? And now you have lots of options, right? So SmartCrowd essentially gives you the same purchasing power as someone that has millions of dirhams to invest in, because you're doing it collectively, socially, right? By combining, getting your $10,000 the same purchasing power that a million dirham has, for example.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Siddiq. Last question, and I promise. If you were to describe SmartCrowd with one word.
Oh, one word. Okay. Putting me on the spot over there, Tariq. Yeah. Level up. Right? That's how I would describe it.
Okay, I'll give you a word and a half.
Yeah, level up. That's a word. That's one word. No, that's two words. Okay.
Level up with a hyphen. With a hyphen.
With a hyphen. There we go. One word. I'll have to dictionary that. Right? Level up. Right? Essentially, level yourself up. Right? Move up in the world. Move up in that category where you're putting your capital to work. You work hard for your money. Let your money work hard for you. Right? We're giving you an opportunity to elevate yourself, right? So that's how I would describe SmartCrowd. SmartCrowd gives you an opportunity to level yourself up financially.
Thank you so much, Siddiq. That has been very exciting and energetic. Thank you so much for coming on Founders Crushin It. And as usual, you and your team out there are crushing it. We're super excited to see the waves that you're doing in the real estate investment market, and we look forward to working with you very closely.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for all the support Shahrukh has provided us. They were the early supporters, even before we had our first license. And we appreciate this opportunity to showcase our story. Success is still yet to come. This is early days for us, very, very early. This whole sector, this whole industry is very nascent, right? Investing in real estate online is not the norm, but it will become the norm in the future.
Yeah.
And we're excited about that. And we're excited that Shahrukh is part of that journey, supporting us along the way. So, and anyone wants to reach out, they can find me, and they can, there was a question in the comments there.
Definitely.
We are looking to expand
Yes.
into different markets. We will be 2022 is very exciting. We intend to be in 2 different markets by second half of 2022. So keep an eye out and follow us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Siddiq. Thank you so much, Tariq Bilani, for asking this question. This brings us to the end of Founders Crushin It. Myself, Tariq Fawad, and Shahrukh partners, we wish you all a great evening. Please remember, if you are a founder looking into getting in touch with us, do email us at deals@shahrukh.ae. Otherwise, remember to always follow us on our social media channels at Shahrukh Partners, and tune in for next Wednesday before we go on a break for New Year's and Christmas. Have a great night, everyone. Wish you all a blessed evening.